traditionally, those financial investigations have been reactive as a part of the of post-intake investigations. And it played a very big role, for instance, in the 9/11 investigations too, tracing bank transfers to find out the members of the organization worldwide. Nowadays, they are even an integral part of the police preventive strategies. Needless to say that this means building up capacities within the police forces that are able to satisfy these new demands. And don't forget how much it takes to educate a police officer to have the same knowledge as an accountant or as a bank clerk, but you have to educate them to get that level, otherwise you cannot do any financial investigations more. Officers training. Officers operating in terrorist investigations have to be trained on the ideological, religious and cultural background of the perpetrators, especially in a country like mine, when their background is totally different and not understandable. For us, Arabic culture is something where we might have seen it traveling around Arab countries, but still, if we see them in our country, they're still not understandable, using a language which we don't understand at all, and being a member of a religious group which only is to be seen in the Turkish population too. So it is a problem. And to give that training on those backgrounds is very time consuming, and luckily we found ways in our country with the help of some Arabic countries to get that training in their countries. Like Egypt is a country helping us very much, being trained on the cultural and religious background on Islamic extremism, which we cannot do in our countries all the time. A more and more important role is played by the public video surveillance, as a closed circuit television system at public places always reveals a lot of information to the police to start investigations. I know this played a vital role in the London bombing investigations in 2005, but we had our own example in Germany in 2006, when the analysis of recorded videos on train stations led to the identification and prosecution of 2 perpetrators in July 2006. They had placed 2 unconventional explosive devices in 2 different trains that had luckily not exploded because of technical defects, of near technical defects. If exploded, they would have killed an unpredictable high number of human beings. Especially at public places, densely populated cities, this too is a necessity, and the infringements of the individual rights are justified. Let me add something very important to you, maybe understanding actions and reactions of police officers that have to be, after their investigations, witnesses in court. It is the security of police officers being exposed as courts and witness. Like criminal organizations, the mafia families, terrorist organizations tend to take revenge on their enemies that are going to have or have obstructed the achievement of their goals. Prosecuting law enforcement officers are certainly a part of those enemies, and therefore have to take much care of their own personal security. In Germany, police officers as witnesses only give their rank, name and the organization's address. In other countries, they only appear with numbers. Whatever can be done, it has to be avoided that police officers fulfilling their tasks in prosecuting terrorist cases or their families should be endangered by terrorist groups. let me come to the international police cooperation. Under the light of the international dimension of terrorism, international cooperation is a must. There is a long tradition in police cooperation that dates back to 1923, when Interpol was created. Today we have a few international bodies worldwide that are more or less formalized and contribute to international cooperation in law enforcement. Let me name the ICPO, Interpol in Lyon, France. Second one. Europol in The Hague, Netherlands, and ASEAN-Pol for this region. All these
ASEAN-Pol.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, ASEAN-Pol. All these bodies have their advantages and disadvantages. Interpol is certainly an excellent tool for exchanging information on terrorist crimes and data on wanted perpetrators, although it took a long time until they included terrorism in their statutes, because it always said politically motivated crimes are excluded, but terrorism no more is such a politically motivated crime. Europol is a more advanced tool to improve international police cooperation, as ASEAN-Pol is still at the stage of a more informal conference of the national heads of law enforcement of the respective countries that meets once a year, and for my sense has to be developed further, but I know that there are many political implications of that too concerning the governments belonging to